Hello viewers. We are glad to be having another day with you. To our friends who are new here, we always look at some Bible teachings on finance and insurance every weekend. Please subscribe and join us. The Son of God himself came and gave us many teachings which form part of our beliefs. We investigate whether there are some of these teachings and deeds that we can relate to insurance in our modern times. There are several deeds in Jesus' life that contain valuable teachings on investment, finance, and insurance. Here are a few examples. Example number 1. The parable of the talents as recorded in Matthew chapter 25, from verse 14 to verse 30. In this parable, Jesus tells the story of a master who gives his servants talents, a unit of money, to invest while he is away. 2 of the servants invest the talents and earn a profit, while one buries his talent in the ground. The master praises the 2 servants who invested wisely and rebukes the one who did not. This parable teaches the importance of investing wisely and not being afraid to take risks. It tells the story of a master who goes on a journey and entrusts his property to his servants. To one servant, he gives 5 talents of money, to another 2 talents, and to a third, 1 talent. When the master returns, he asks the servants what they did with the talents. The first 2 servants invested and doubled their talents, while the third servant buried his talent in the ground. The master was pleased with the first 2 servants, but angry with the third, who did nothing with what was given to him. How the parable of the talents, Matthew 25 verses 14 to 30, applies in finance and insurance teachings today. This parable has several applications in finance and insurance teachings today. Here are a few. Wise investing. The first 2 servants in the parable invested their talents and doubled them. This teaches us the importance of wise investing. In finance and insurance, it is important to research and understand the risks associated with any investment, and to diversify our portfolios to minimize those risks. This principle applies not just to financial investments, but also to insurance products like life insurance or disability insurance. By investing in these products, we are preparing ourselves for the unexpected and protecting ourselves and our loved ones from financial hardship. Taking calculated risks. The first 2 servants took calculated risks with their investments, which paid off. In finance and insurance, taking calculated risks can often lead to greater rewards. This might mean investing in stocks or mutual funds or taking out a policy with a higher deductible to lower monthly premiums. Stewardship. The parable teaches that we are stewards of the resources that we have been given, and that we have a responsibility to use them wisely. In finance and insurance, this means that we should be responsible with our money and investments, and not take on too much debt or risk. We should also be good stewards of our insurance policies, making sure that we have the coverage we need and that we are not paying for coverage we don't need. Accountability. The parable also teaches that we will be held accountable for how we use the resources we have been given. In finance and insurance, this means that we should keep track of our investments and policies, and make sure that we are using them in a way that is consistent with our goals and values. Example number 2. The parable of the rich fool, recorded in the book of Luke chapter 12, from verse 13 to verse 21. In this parable, Jesus tells the story of a rich man who has a great harvest and decides to tear down his barns and build bigger ones to store his grain. He then tells himself, "Soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years, relax, eat, drink, be merry." However, that very night, God takes his life, and he realizes that he cannot take his riches with him. This parable teaches the danger of greed and the importance of not putting all of our trust in material possessions. This parable has several applications in insurance today. Here are a few. Life insurance. The parable highlights the importance of life insurance. The rich man had plenty of grain stored up, but when he died, he left it all behind. Similarly, when we die, we leave behind our assets and our loved ones. Life insurance can provide a safety net for our loved ones and ensure that they are taken care of financially when we are gone. Estate planning. The rich man in the parable did not have an estate plan in place, and his wealth was left behind without any instructions for how it should be distributed. In insurance, estate planning is an important part of protecting our assets and making sure they are distributed according to our wishes. Disability insurance. The parable also highlights the importance of disability insurance. The rich man in the parable was not able to enjoy his wealth for very long because his life was demanded of him that very night. Similarly, an unexpected disability or illness can prevent us from enjoying our wealth and providing for our loved ones. Disability insurance can provide a safety net in case we are unable to work due to a disability or illness. Risk management. The rich man in the parable did not consider the risks associated with his wealth. He did not have a plan in place for how to manage his wealth in case of unforeseen events. In insurance, risk management is an important part of protecting our assets and ensuring that we are prepared for the unexpected. Example number 3. The widow's mite, recorded in Mark chapter 12, from verse 41 to verse 44. In this story, Jesus observes a poor widow putting 2 small coins into the temple treasury, while many wealthy people are giving large amounts. Jesus explains that the widow has given more because she gave all she had, while the wealthy people gave out of their abundance. This story teaches the importance of giving generously, even if we have very little to give. The parable of the widow's mite is a story in the Bible, found in Mark 12 verses 41 to 44, that teaches a valuable lesson about generosity and sacrifice. While the story itself may not directly apply to insurance, there are several lessons that we can draw from it that can be applied to insurance and personal finance. Here are 3 lessons from the widow's mite that can be applied to insurance today. Every penny counts. In the story, the widow gives 2 small coins, which were worth very little in terms of monetary value. However, Jesus praises her for her generosity, as she gave all she had. In the same way, when it comes to insurance, even small amounts of coverage can make a big difference in protecting your finances and your loved ones. It's important to assess your needs and budget to determine the appropriate amount of coverage, and not underestimate the value of even small insurance policies. Sacrifice for a greater good. The widow's sacrifice was an act of faith and love, as she gave all she had to God. In the same way, purchasing insurance is a sacrifice that can benefit you and your loved ones in the event of unforeseen circumstances. While insurance premiums may seem like a burden, they can provide a safety net and financial security in times of need. Giving from the heart. The widow's offering was not just about the monetary value, but the spirit in which it was given. She gave with a humble heart and a desire to help others. When it comes to insurance, it's important to choose a policy that aligns with your values and priorities. You should also consider working with an agent who understands your unique needs and can help you find the right coverage for your situation. In summary, the lessons from the widow's mite that apply to insurance today are: every penny counts, sacrifice for a greater good, and giving from the heart. By keeping these principles in mind, you can make informed decisions about insurance and financial planning that align with your values and priorities. Example number 4. The parable of the Good Samaritan, in Luke chapter 10, verses 25 to 37. In this parable, Jesus tells the story of a man who is robbed and left for dead on the side of the road. 2 religious leaders pass by without helping him, but a Samaritan, who was despised by the Jews, stops to help and pays for his care. This story teaches the importance of being prepared for unexpected expenses, such as medical emergencies, and the value of showing compassion to those in need. The parable of the Good Samaritan is a story told by Jesus in the Gospel of Luke that teaches valuable lessons about kindness, compassion, and caring for others. While the parable does not explicitly mention insurance, there are several principles that can be applied to the insurance industry and the way people approach the protection of themselves and others. Here are some insurance lessons from the parable of the Good Samaritan. Be prepared for the unexpected. The victim in the parable was attacked unexpectedly and left wounded on the road. Just like in life, unexpected events can happen, and it is important to be prepared for them. This is why having insurance coverage can be crucial to protecting yourself, your family, and your assets in the event of an unforeseen event. Care for others. The Good Samaritan stopped to help the victim even though he did not know him and was from a different social group. In the same way, insurance can be a way to show care and concern for others by protecting them from financial loss in the event of an accident, illness, or other unexpected event. Be willing to pay the cost. The Good Samaritan paid the cost of the victim's care without expecting anything in return. Similarly, insurance policies require payment of premiums, and it is important to be willing to pay the cost to ensure that you and your loved ones are adequately protected. Choose a reliable provider. The Good Samaritan took the victim to an inn where he knew he would receive proper care. When selecting an insurance provider, it is important to choose a company that is reliable and has a good reputation for providing quality coverage and customer service. Be proactive in protecting yourself and others. The victim in the parable was left vulnerable because he did not take precautions to protect himself. Similarly, it is important to be proactive in protecting yourself and others by taking steps such as purchasing insurance coverage, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and practicing safe driving habits. Overall, Jesus' teachings emphasize the importance of wise investing, being wise with our finances, giving generously, helping those in need, not being greedy or materialistic, giving generously, and treating others with fairness and kindness. These 8 timeless principles that are still relevant and valuable in modern finance and insurance practices. That's all for today, folks. Let's meet again next weekend on this topic. Have a fantastic week ahead. Remember to like and share this video.